when Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy on him, addressed the man who arranged his torture, a man also named Ahmad, known as Ibn Abi Du'ad, he said something that cut straight to the heart. Between you and me, the difference will be clear at our funerals. At that moment, Imam Ahmad was confined to prison, while Ibn Abi Du'ad lived in palaces and power. What followed is well known. When Imam Ahmad passed away, he was honored by Allah with a janazah like no other in Arab memory, with millions pouring in from far and wide, while Ibn Abi Du'ad died, reviled and without people to pray over him because of the harm he had caused. The contrast is a powerful lesson. Reputation, testimony, and the way people remember you have consequences that extend beyond worldly status. We are reminded of the famous incident when 2 funeral processions passed by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions. When the companions spoke positively about one of the deceased, the Prophet ﷺ exclaimed 3 times, "Wajabat, wajabat, wajabat, it has become due, it has become due, it has become due," indicating that paradise became certain for that person. When the companions described the other with bad testimony, the Prophet ﷺ used a similar pronouncement, and the companions asked why. The Prophet ﷺ explained that the public testimony of the people carried decisive weight. For the one whose life was spoken of well, paradise had become due. For the one described badly, hellfire had become due. Then he clarified the cosmic balance. The angels are Allah's witnesses in the heavens, and you are Allah's witnesses on earth. Human testimony matters because people are the witnesses of how we lived among them. Only a limited number of individuals are known with absolute certainty to be in paradise or in hell, because Allah or His Messenger ﷺ explicitly identified them. We know from revelation and authentic tradition, for instance, that Abu Lahab is in the fire. We also know that certain companions, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, may Allah be pleased with them, are in paradise. For the majority of people, however, the testimony of those who knew them will matter greatly. The way family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues speak of a person will form part of the record that is presented. There are many narrations about the witnesses who will come forward on the Day of Judgment to testify for or against a person. Those who encountered you the most, your closest relatives and friends, will generally have the most to say about you. Just as Allah causes limbs to speak on that day, to bear witness to what a person did, human witnesses will also speak truthfully, and their accounts will carry significant weight. When people who lived with or near you describe your character, their words are not mere gossip, they are evidence. Consider the example of someone who spent a lifetime in sin, yet was known for fairness and mercy in trade, who would reduce debts or show leniency to those in hardship. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned a man from an earlier nation who was brought to account, and nothing good was found for him except his leniency in business and his forgiving of indebted people who were struggling. When Allah saw that, He said, "We are more deserving to show mercy to him than he is," and commanded that his case be forgiven. That narration demonstrates how even a single sincere act of easing someone's burden can tip the scale toward mercy in the divine accounting. The Quran and Sunnah emphasize repeatedly that small acts of kindness can have immense consequences. There is the story cited in tradition of a sinful woman who, after receiving water in this life by Allah's providence, gave water to a thirsty dog from her shoe out of gratitude. That seemingly simple act of compassion was enough for Allah to reward her with rivers in paradise. The underlying principle is that Allah multiplies good. He is far more generous than human measure. Our gratitude and acts of mercy, even when modest, can attract immense divine reward because Allah is Ash-Shakur, the most appreciative, who returns goodness manifold. The Prophet ﷺ taught that fulfilling the needs of a brother results in Allah fulfilling your needs, and that whoever relieves a believer from distress will be relieved by Allah from distress on the day of resurrection. He said that whoever covers the faults of a fellow believer, Allah will cover his faults on the Day of Judgment. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ explained that no servant conceals the faults of another in this world, except that Allah will conceal his faults on the Day of Judgment. The ethical lesson is clear. Protecting the dignity of others and preventing their humiliation carries a divine reciprocity. Saving someone from disgrace can save you from disgrace in the hereafter. Small deeds are repeatedly presented as gateways to great reward. The Prophet ﷺ said that if a person cancels a sale with a buyer who regretted the purchase, Allah will cancel his mistakes on the Day of Judgment, just as the purchaser's obligation was cancelled in this world. A tiny commercial mercy, releasing someone from a regretted transaction, may be counted as forgiveness from Allah in the Great Reckoning. This shows how everyday acts of fairness and generosity in ordinary life are not insignificant in the sight of God. Larger acts naturally bring greater relief. Historically, freeing a believing slave was among the most meritorious of deeds. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever frees a believing slave, Allah will free him from the fire limb by limb, including the most concealed parts. The specificity of that recompense teaches that divine justice is precise and proportional. Just as the rescuer freed every part of the captive's body, Allah will free every part of the rescuer's body from punishment. The spiritual balance mirrors the physical act in exactness and completeness, underscoring how concrete acts of liberation correspond with concrete forms of divine mercy. Although chattel slavery is not prevalent in most contemporary contexts, bondage still exists in many forms, whether through oppression, coercive labor, economic exploitation, or psychological captivity. Freeing someone from such conditions, or helping those trapped by hardship, remains deeply meritorious. Efforts to alleviate systemic oppression or to rescue someone from abuse and exploitation are the modern equivalents of emancipation and are counted with great significance in the divine scale. Another powerful theme is the endurance of deeds after death. The hadith that teaches a person's deeds cease at death except for 3 ongoing charity, beneficial knowledge, and righteous offspring who pray for their parents highlights the importance of building lasting benefits. If you support projects that continue to help people, share knowledge that others act upon, or raise children who pray for you, then people will continue to benefit from you and will come forward as witnesses on your behalf. These ongoing fruits produce testimony that can speak for you before your own account is read. Imagine the scene on the Day of Judgment when people who live generations after you step forward and testify that they received water, guidance, or comfort because of something you did. They might say, I was given clean water because of his donation. I was guided because of his teaching. I was able to worship properly because of what he built. These testimonies are real and carry weight because they reflect tangible benefit. The sweetness of discovering a good deed recorded in your book that you did not even realize existed, perhaps because someone kept your virtue from public view, is unparalleled. That unexpected good can beautify your record and tilt the balance toward mercy. Testimony can also work against a person. If the people who knew you speak of harm you inflicted, the negativity of their accounts can contribute to a bad outcome. The story of the 2 funerals underscores that public regard is spiritually consequential. The community's perception is not merely social commentary, but part of the moral ledger that will be consulted. How you treat others, whether you cause harm or offer relief, accumulates into testimony that will be considered. Practically, the message is straightforward. Act with kindness, fairness, and mercy in your daily life. Conceal the faults of others rather than exposing them. Relieve hardship where you can. Forgive debts or reduce burdens when circumstances justify it. Invest in deeds that will outlast you. Fund or support enduring sources of benefit. Teach beneficial knowledge and raise children who will pray for you. Do not underestimate small acts of compassion. A single act of mercy, a moment of patience, or a choice to preserve someone's dignity can have consequences far greater than you imagine. Finally, the overall lesson is clear. Live so that those around you can truthfully attest to your compassion, fairness, and protective silence. Trust in Allah's mercy and justice, but take responsibility for how you are known by those who know you best. In doing so, you are not merely cultivating reputation, you are investing in the testimony that may stand in your favor when it truly matters. The sweetness of finding unknown good deeds in your record, or learning that someone benefited because of you, is incomparable. It shows that sincere acts have effects beyond our sight. So continue doing good and seek to leave benefits that will speak on your behalf after death.